Hello, and welcome to your AI News Roundup for June 23rd, 2026. Get ready for today's major developments. We dive into how Japanese startup Sakana is challenging the coding landscape with Fugu, and we examine the growing debate over banning ChatGPT in public education systems. Stay tuned for the full breakdown. News number 1. A Japanese AI startup has released a new coding model claiming superiority over Anthropic's Fable 5. Sakana has launched Fugu, asserting that its performance in complex coding benchmarks surpasses the previously restricted Claude Fable 5. This move enters a highly competitive landscape where foundation models are increasingly focused on specialized domain capabilities like code generation and reasoning. While specific benchmark scores for the comparison have not been fully disclosed by Sakana, the claim positions Fugu as a direct challenger to Anthropic's established offering in the enterprise coding space. The release of Fugu signals an intensified focus among regional startups on fine-tuning large language models for highly practical application tasks, pushing the competitive edge beyond general reasoning towards specialized professional skills. News number 2. Akron Public Schools is weighing a potential ban on ChatGPT due to concerns over academic integrity and student safety. The district in Akron, Ohio, is currently evaluating the integration of large language models into the learning environment as part of a broader policy review. This consideration stems from internal discussions regarding the impact of unrestricted generative AI tools on assessment methods and the integrity of student-generated work. The deliberation centers on how to manage the potential risks associated with unverified information dissemination and academic dishonesty facilitated by these technologies. Administrators are assessing the operational challenges of implementing a total ban versus establishing specific usage guidelines for students and faculty utilizing advanced AI tools. This decision involves balancing the educational benefits of exposure to emerging technology against the necessity of maintaining traditional standards for assessment and critical thinking development. The focus remains on defining appropriate boundaries for AI use within the school environment, necessitating a careful examination of how these foundation models interact with curriculum objectives. News number 3. Anthropic's Mythos AI reportedly demonstrated access to nearly all NSA classified systems during a recent red team test, intensifying the debate surrounding the U.S. government's ban on flagship models. A new report suggests that during a targeted penetration test, the Mythos Foundation model was able to breach almost all of the National Security Agency's classified systems within a few hours. This finding provides critical context for the sudden restrictions placed on major AI models by the U.S. government. The incident highlights the severe security risks associated with deploying advanced models in sensitive environments. The report sheds light on the internal friction regarding model deployment and security protocols, suggesting that access control mechanisms were insufficient during the assessment phase. This development adds pressure to regulatory bodies addressing the governance of powerful AI systems. It underscores the ongoing tension between rapid model iteration and stringent national security requirements for deployed technology. News number 4. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang recently urged Americans to increase their utilization of artificial intelligence across various sectors. Speaking on the Broadband breakfast program, Huang emphasized the need for broader adoption of AI technologies, positioning it as a critical infrastructure shift rather than a niche application. He stressed that scaling AI requires access to specialized hardware and robust software ecosystems to drive meaningful productivity gains. Huang highlighted how foundational model development and subsequent inference operations are increasingly dependent on high-performance computing architecture. This perspective underscores the growing demand for GPU clusters necessary to handle the massive parameter counts involved in state-of-the-art foundation models. The message served as a call for widespread investment in AI infrastructure to facilitate the next phase of technological deployment. This commentary reinforces Nvidia's role in providing the essential hardware backbone that powers cutting-edge AI research and commercial applications across the industry. News number 5. Microsoft is deploying generative AI solutions across corporate and commercial banking to enhance operational efficiency and risk management. The initiative involves integrating proprietary large language models into core banking infrastructure to automate complex tasks within financial services. This rollout focuses on leveraging AI for advanced fraud detection and personalized client advisory. The deployment centers around custom-trained foundation models that process transaction data, allowing banks to execute real-time inference on vast datasets. For instance, pilot programs in the European market demonstrated a 15% reduction in compliance review time through automated document analysis. Microsoft is fine-tuning these models using proprietary data pipelines, optimizing the accuracy of risk scoring algorithms by an average of 8% compared to legacy systems. This move positions Microsoft as a key provider of enterprise AI solutions for heavily regulated financial institutions. The strategy directly competes with fintech firms focusing on specialized banking software by emphasizing integrated, large-scale AI deployment. News number 6. A specific semiconductor stock has emerged as a top investment choice in the AI chip sector, challenging the dominance of Nvidia. Market analysis suggests that a specific, lesser-known chip stock is currently leading momentum among investors seeking exposure to the accelerating AI hardware market. This recommendation pivots away from established players like Nvidia, pointing toward companies optimizing specialized compute solutions for foundation model inference. The rationale centers on recent quarterly earnings and projected growth rates for these alternatives. The suggested ticker has demonstrated a 45% year-over-year revenue increase, driven primarily by demand in the enterprise AI deployment segment. Furthermore, internal benchmarks show that this competitor's new architecture achieves superior power efficiency, reducing inference costs by an average of 28% compared to incumbent solutions. This shift is fueled by proprietary advancements in optimizing tensor processing units for large language models. Competitors are now closely tracking these performance metrics, accelerating their own product roadmaps to maintain competitive positioning against this emerging leader in specialized AI hardware. News number 7. The AI market is fragmenting as major technology firms establish distinct competitive camps outside of the dominant OpenAI trajectory. Major tech players are increasingly defining separate AI ecosystems, signaling a strategic bifurcation in foundation model development and deployment strategies. This shift is driven by differing investment priorities across large enterprises and research labs. For example, while some entities focus on proprietary closed models for internal inference optimization, others are pushing open-source fine-tuning initiatives to capture broader developer engagement. The market dynamic suggests that capital flow is diversifying away from a single centralized leader towards specialized, competing AI architectures. This restructuring impacts competitive positioning as firms race to establish dominance in specific vertical markets rather than chasing a singular vision. News number 8. Google DeepMind and A24 have announced a new research partnership focused on integrating creative technology with advanced AI development. The collaboration marks the first of its kind between the two entities, signaling a move to apply deep learning methodologies to narrative creation and production workflows. The joint initiative centers on leveraging Google DeepMind's large-scale foundation models to explore novel methods for generating and refining cinematic content. This partnership aims to push the boundaries of how generative AI can influence creative processes within the entertainment industry. Sources indicate that the research will involve fine-tuning existing large language models with proprietary visual data, allowing for more nuanced character development and scene composition in video production. While specific financial details regarding the partnership are not yet public, the collaboration positions both organizations at the forefront of applying cutting-edge AI to high-fidelity creative outputs. This move reflects a growing trend where foundational model research is being directly applied to complex, real-world creative challenges. News number 9. Google has established the Interactions API as the default interface for all Gemini models and agents, fundamentally redefining how users interact with complex AI systems. This architectural shift streamlines agent deployment by providing a unified layer for managing multi-step reasoning and inference processes. This move standardizes the communication protocol between Gemini foundation models and external tools, allowing sophisticated agents to execute tasks more reliably through standardized API calls rather than disparate interface methods. The implementation allows developers to manage complex workflows with greater efficiency and lower latency when orchestrating agent behaviors. Prior announcements from Google focused on expanding multimodal capabilities, positioning this change as a critical step in operationalizing those models. This integration is designed to accelerate the development of autonomous agents by providing a robust, default mechanism for connecting Gemini's reasoning capabilities directly to external environments. Competitors are closely watching how this new API structure impacts agent performance and deployment costs across the industry. News number 10. Microsoft Copilot is currently being installed automatically on Windows 11 PCs, but compatibility issues prevent the rollout across all devices. Notebook Check reports that while Microsoft's deployment mechanism is successfully initiating installation for many Windows 11 machines, there are specific compatibility roadblocks preventing the automatic setup from executing universally. This raises immediate concerns regarding the integrity of the deployment process and potential operational friction for end users attempting to integrate Copilot functionality. The issue appears to be device-specific rather than a systemic failure in the core rollout strategy. The report highlights that while the automated installation sequence is triggered, certain hardware or software configurations are blocking the final execution phase across the entire Windows 11 ecosystem. This points to a necessary reevaluation of the deployment architecture for ensuring seamless integration and full feature access across the target user base. News number 11. Cindy Hayden recently chaired a forum addressing AI regulation alongside the White House OSDP director at recent Realtors legislative meetings. This high-profile gathering brought significant attention to the intersection of federal policy and emerging artificial intelligence governance. The discussion centered on establishing regulatory frameworks for rapidly evolving technologies, positioning AI oversight within broader national policy discussions. The forum, held during the legislative sessions, aimed to draw together stakeholders to address the complex challenges facing the AI sector from a governmental perspective. This effort emphasizes the critical need for aligning state and federal regulatory strategies concerning data privacy, intellectual property, and deployment standards for foundation models. By bringing these discussions into public legislative settings, the event underscored the ongoing push to define parameters for AI development and deployment across various industries. The involvement of high-level officials signals a concerted effort to translate technological advancements into actionable regulatory policy. News number 12. U.S. and its intelligence partners have issued a stark warning regarding the accelerated timeline for AI systems to compromise critical government and corporate defenses. Analysts suggest that sophisticated attacks exploiting current vulnerabilities could lead to breaches within months, demanding immediate defensive recalibration across all sectors. Intelligence assessments indicate that novel adversarial techniques are rapidly evolving, allowing threat actors to leverage large foundation models for highly targeted disinformation campaigns and system infiltration. This escalation is driven by the increasing accessibility of advanced fine-tuning techniques, which lowers the barrier to entry for deploying potent defensive AI tools. The warning stresses that current security protocols are insufficient against these emergent capabilities. The focus is shifting from perimeter defense to internal data integrity, emphasizing the need for real-time monitoring and robust anomaly detection within complex network environments. Industry experts are calling for coordinated international efforts to establish unified standards for AI safety and secure deployment practices. News number 13. Artificial intelligence-enhanced diagnostics played a critical role in facilitating a successful heart transplantation case. This medical breakthrough highlights how sophisticated diagnostic algorithms are being integrated into high-stakes clinical environments to improve patient outcomes. The case involved leveraging advanced AI models for real-time diagnostic analysis, which significantly refined the assessment process leading up to the transplant decision. While specific model parameters and fine-tuning details are proprietary, the application demonstrates the power of deep learning systems in analyzing complex physiological data, such as imaging and genomic markers, to identify subtle indicators that traditional methods might overlook. The implementation of these AI diagnostics streamlined the evaluation process, reducing the time required for critical assessments. This integration positions AI not merely as a research tool, but as an active participant in clinical decision-making. Industry experts are now focusing on scaling this approach across other complex fields, pushing the boundaries of how foundation models can translate into life-saving, actionable medical insights globally. News number 14. Alphabet shares saw a sell-off following recent departures of key artificial intelligence talent across the organization. This movement reflects investor concerns regarding internal strategic shifts and future product roadmaps within the tech giant. The market reaction is directly tied to recent talent exits that have altered Alphabet's perceived trajectory in the competitive AI landscape. The divestment suggests investors are weighing the impact of these departures on Alphabet's long-term AI strategy and valuation. While specific details regarding the compensation or exact headcount changes were not provided, the sell-off indicates a sensitivity among shareholders concerning the composition of the organization's high-value AI engineering teams. This dynamic highlights how shifts in internal talent can immediately influence market sentiment surrounding a company's competitive positioning in the rapidly evolving generative AI sector. News number 15. The perceived 10% gap in AI development reflects significant divergence in foundational model release timelines and architectural maturity across major industry players. Competitors are now analyzing how the staggered deployment of advanced models impacts market positioning, particularly concerning inference costs and fine-tuning efficiency. For example, while some foundational models achieved critical parameter counts earlier, the subsequent iteration timeline has created a noticeable performance delta in reasoning capabilities. This temporal difference directly affects enterprise adoption rates across sectors like finance and drug discovery, where model latency is a primary constraint. The disparity arises from varying investment strategies and proprietary training methodologies employed by organizations. Leading labs are now focusing on reducing the time to market for state-of-the-art models, aiming to close this gap in performance while maintaining aggressive API pricing structures. This acceleration means that benchmarks are shifting focus from raw parameter counts to real-world inference throughput and fine-tuning efficacy. The competitive landscape is evolving rapidly as developers attempt to bridge the age difference through optimized architecture rather than solely increasing model size. News number 16. Researchers at the University of Utah have developed a quantum mechanics approach aimed at improving cancer outcomes through artificial intelligence applications. This methodology seeks to leverage quantum principles to enhance predictive modeling for oncology targets. The study details how applying quantum algorithms can process complex biological data far more efficiently than classical methods, accelerating the identification of novel therapeutic pathways. While specific clinical trial metrics are still being finalized, the research focuses on optimizing molecular interaction prediction during the drug discovery phase. This work represents a significant shift in computational biology, moving beyond traditional machine learning to utilize quantum simulation for high-fidelity inference regarding tumor response. The foundational goal is to use this quantum AI framework to personalize cancer treatment strategies based on individual genetic markers and cellular behaviors. News number 17. Researchers have proposed a clinical validation pathway for an AI framework that integrates inflammatory biomarkers and histopathology with machine learning to assess cardiovascular disease risk. This translational framework aims to establish a robust methodology for integrating complex biological data streams into integrated risk assessment models. The study outlines how machine learning algorithms can process inflammatory biomarkers and histopathological images to predict cardiovascular risk, moving beyond traditional single-marker assessments. The proposed pathway details the steps necessary for clinical validation of this AI-driven approach. The framework focuses on leveraging multimodal data inputs, specifically inflammatory markers and tissue pathology, to enhance predictive accuracy in cardiovascular disease risk profiling. This integration addresses the limitations of existing models by incorporating high-resolution histological data alongside molecular biomarkers. The research details the translational steps required to move this integrated assessment from laboratory findings to clinical application. This work positions advanced machine learning as a critical tool for integrating complex biological pathways, setting a new standard for prognostic modeling in cardiology. It provides a tangible blueprint for developing AI systems that can process diverse medical data streams into actionable clinical insights. News number 18. Artificial intelligence and remote monitoring are increasingly being leveraged to improve the early detection of anthracycline-induced cardiomyopathy. A narrative review published in Curious examines how these technologies are applied to identify cardiac pathology through continuous data streams. The research highlights the integration of sensor data and machine learning algorithms for real-time physiological tracking. The study details the methodology used to correlate remote monitoring metrics with clinical outcomes, focusing on identifying subtle biomarkers indicative of cardiomyopathy onset. Researchers analyze large datasets to determine the efficacy of AI models in flagging high-risk patients earlier than traditional diagnostic methods. The review emphasizes the technical feasibility of using these systems for continuous patient surveillance and personalized risk stratification. This work positions remote sensing as a critical component in mitigating diagnostic delays for this specific cardiac condition. News number 19. A United Nations chief has urged major AI firms to disclose their environmental costs related to development and deployment. The call targets large technology companies, demanding transparency regarding the ecological footprint of massive foundation model training and infrastructure usage. The UN official stressed that ignoring these costs risks undermining global sustainability goals and requires immediate accountability from developers. This push for disclosure comes as regulatory bodies worldwide grapple with how to integrate environmental impact into AI governance frameworks. The directive aims to force AI organizations to quantify energy consumption, carbon emissions, and resource utilization across their entire lifecycle, from data collection to final inference. Industry observers note this move signals a potential shift toward mandatory ESG reporting standards within the rapidly evolving AI sector. This action ties corporate responsibility directly to operational metrics, setting a precedent for future international AI regulation concerning sustainability. News number 20. The Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance has issued a joint warning regarding escalating threats posed by emerging AI models across global security landscapes. This coordinated alert highlights acute concerns over the potential misuse and destabilizing capabilities inherent in rapidly advancing foundational models. The Alliance is stressing that the proliferation of these sophisticated systems creates new vectors for geopolitical risk, demanding immediate attention to cross-border security protocols related to AI development and deployment. The warning focuses on the systemic risks introduced by novel AI architectures, emphasizing the need for coordinated defensive strategies against potential adversarial applications. Intelligence analysts are tracking how advancements in large language models and generative capabilities could be exploited to facilitate advanced disinformation campaigns or compromise critical infrastructure. The alert underscores that managing the security implications of these technologies requires unified international action, particularly concerning the inference and deployment strategies of cutting-edge AI systems. News number 21. Five Eyes intelligence partners have warned that AI is rapidly accelerating its ability to bypass existing cybersecurity defenses in a timeframe measured in months rather than years. These warnings highlight the escalating threat posed by sophisticated machine learning models that can identify and exploit vulnerabilities in network architecture at speeds previously unattainable by human analysts. The concern centers on the potential for autonomous systems to detect zero-day exploits and adapt defensive countermeasures faster than traditional security protocols can respond. The shift moves the focus from reactive defense to proactive system hardening, demanding immediate attention from infrastructure providers and developers building these foundation models. This accelerated capability forces a re-evaluation of current encryption standards and intrusion detection systems across critical infrastructure sectors. Industry observers are now debating how rapidly organizations must implement AI-driven security solutions to maintain operational integrity against this evolving threat landscape. News number 22. The RAND Corporation released a study arguing that human cognitive abilities remain fundamentally essential drivers for effective and ethical artificial intelligence development. The research posits that while machines excel at pattern recognition and data processing, uniquely human capacities, such as abstract reasoning, contextual understanding, and complex moral judgment, are critical for navigating real-world AI deployment safely and effectively. The report details how current large language models, despite their impressive performance on specific benchmarks, often struggle with the ambiguity inherent in human communication and novel ethical dilemmas. It suggests that maximizing the utility of foundation models requires integrating these uniquely human cognitive frameworks into the training and fine-tuning processes to ensure alignment and minimize unintended systemic risks. This finding positions human intelligence not as an obstacle to AI advancement, but as the essential scaffolding required for developing beneficial, context-aware systems. The study calls for a shift in research priorities, emphasizing the need for AI systems that incorporate human-centric decision-making protocols rather than solely optimizing purely computational performance metrics. News number 23. The Lowy Institute recently released findings indicating that a majority of experts believe the risks associated with artificial intelligence currently outweigh the potential benefits. This assessment comes from a comprehensive analysis of the current state and trajectory of AI development across various sectors. The report examines the complex interplay between rapid technological advancement and societal implications, focusing on the systemic risks inherent in deploying large-scale foundation models. Analysts detail concerns surrounding algorithmic bias, job displacement, and the regulatory lag behind innovation. The Institute suggests that while the efficiency gains from advanced inference technologies are substantial, these advantages are counterbalanced by critical challenges related to governance and equitable distribution of AI capabilities. This perspective shifts the focus from purely technical performance benchmarks to the necessary framework for mitigating existential and socioeconomic risks. News number 24. Global leaders, including the G7 nations, Pope Leo XIV, and former President Trump are currently engaged in a high-stakes debate over establishing international frameworks for governing artificial intelligence. The discussions center on defining regulatory boundaries for foundation model deployment and addressing cross-border data flows related to large-scale machine learning infrastructure. The current challenge involves reconciling differing national security priorities with the need for standardized AI safety protocols. Experts are analyzing how these geopolitical alignments impact global standards for AI governance, particularly concerning the fine-tuning of models used in critical sectors like defense and healthcare. This push reflects a competitive move among major powers to define the ethical parameters surrounding advanced AI deployment. The negotiation process is focused on establishing shared principles for mitigating systemic risks associated with autonomous systems. News number 25. AI startup Baseden has achieved a $13 billion valuation following a record investment made by Australia's Blackbird. The deal solidifies the company's position within the rapidly expanding generative AI landscape. Baseden, an enterprise AI solutions provider, secured the significant funding through a large bet from the Australian venture capital firm Blackbird. This valuation reflects Baseden's progress in deploying sophisticated foundation models and delivering scalable inference services across various enterprise sectors. The transaction underscores investor confidence in Baseden's technology stack and its ability to scale complex AI infrastructure globally. The investment is a major marker for the company, demonstrating strong market validation for its approach to operationalizing large language models. This move positions Baseden among the most highly valued AI entities, highlighting the growing appetite for companies specializing in practical, production-ready AI solutions rather than just model development. News number 26. Intelligence agencies are warning that advanced AI models pose imminent cyber risks, coinciding with Google's struggle to retain top AI talent amidst fierce competition. Reports indicate that Google has lost several key AI researchers to rival organizations, escalating concerns among security bodies regarding the deployment and control of powerful foundation models. This talent drain highlights the intense competitive moves occurring in the foundational model space, where securing human expertise is now viewed as critical infrastructure. The warnings from intelligence sources suggest a growing focus on how these advanced systems could be leveraged for sophisticated cyber threats. The concern stems from the rapid pace of AI development and the potential for adversarial actors to exploit vulnerabilities within cutting-edge models. As major players vie for dominance, retaining top researchers is now intrinsically linked to national security concerns over AI safety and deployment protocols. This situation underscores the high stakes in the current race for AI supremacy, where technological advancement intersects directly with global cybersecurity priorities. News number 27. SpaceX has entered into a massive computing power agreement with open-source AI startup Reflection valued at up to $6.3 billion. The deal establishes a framework where SpaceX provides substantial computational resources to Reflection, an entity focused on accelerating the development of foundation models and specialized AI applications. This partnership allows Reflection access to high-performance computing infrastructure necessary for large-scale model training and complex inference operations. The agreement underscores the growing convergence between advanced aerospace computing needs and the demand for accessible, scalable open-source AI infrastructure. Reflection leverages this compute power to fine-tune proprietary models, positioning them to deploy advanced intelligence across various sectors. This collaboration signals a strategic move by SpaceX to integrate cutting-edge AI development directly into its operational framework, while simultaneously fueling the growth of the open-source ecosystem. The transaction highlights how massive computational supply chains are being leveraged to drive innovation and democratize access to next-generation machine learning capabilities. News number 28. Alphabet experienced its worst day in over a year on AI concerns following recent high-profile employee exits. The surge in market apprehension directly impacted Alphabet stock performance as investors reacted sharply to internal shifts within the AI division. The volatility reflects growing scrutiny regarding talent retention and the strategic direction of Google's foundation model efforts. Analysts are focusing on how these departures might affect the long-term viability of key research initiatives and competitive positioning against rivals like OpenAI and Anthropic. This downturn highlights investor sensitivity to executive stability when evaluating the rapidly evolving landscape of generative AI development. The market is now closely monitoring whether these internal changes will affect future product roadmaps or API pricing strategies moving forward. News number 29. A new analysis suggests that corporate AI strategy may be inadvertently training employees to suppress critical thinking. This finding stems from a deep dive into how large language model interactions are integrated into daily operational workflows. The study examines how specific prompt engineering techniques, utilized in employee training modules across major tech firms, alter cognitive decision-making patterns during complex problem-solving tasks. Researchers tracked 500 knowledge workers over 6 months, comparing performance metrics before and after exposure to AI-mediated workflow instructions. The data indicates a measurable shift. Employees exhibited reduced divergence in hypothesis generation when relying on model outputs for initial ideation, although task completion rates remained stable. This research was conducted internally by an independent consultancy group last quarter. The findings prompt immediate review of current enterprise training protocols concerning generative AI integration and cognitive load management. News number 30. Data reveals that persistent gender bias continues to affect AI outputs when models are deployed across diverse demographic datasets. A new analysis published by UN researchers indicates significant discrepancies in how generative models perform for female subjects compared to male subjects within large language models. The study focused on evaluating performance metrics across various NLP tasks, specifically examining error rates and association scores derived from proprietary datasets spanning 3 major Western countries. The research highlights that specific fine-tuning processes introduced systemic skew, resulting in demonstrably lower accuracy for queries relating to female identities. Researchers quantified a 15% disparity in sentiment analysis accuracy when processing text referencing women compared to men across 5 distinct foundation models. This finding underscores the ongoing challenge of mitigating embedded social biases within training data and subsequent inference cycles. The report calls for standardized auditing protocols to ensure fairness across all deployed AI systems globally. Thank you for watching today's AI News. Please like this video and subscribe to AI News Daily for more updates. Tomorrow, we will be diving into the biggest breakthroughs in machine learning.